It's week 6 of college football, and we're going to give you our 3 best bets of the weekend, and it all starts right now. Hey guys, it's Matt from GrandstandBettors.com. We have 3 of our best bets for college football week number 6. Before we get to those, just a reminder, if you're new to Grandstand Bettors, go ahead, hit that subscribe button so you don't miss any of our college football picks and predictions all season long. While you're at it, smash that like button if you are ready for a full weekend of football. I know we are. But without further ado, let's dive in to our best 3 bets for college football week number 6. And the first one we're going to start with is in the 12 p.m. Eastern time slot. We have a Big 12 conference matchup between the West Virginia Mountaineers and the Baylor Bears. The spread for this game is 2.5 in favor of Baylor. The over-under is set at 44.5. Now, West Virginia is coming into this game 2-3 on the year, and that really does not reflect how good a team that West Virginia is. All their losses were by 6 points or less. That came against Maryland, Oklahoma, Texas Tech. Their offense, it slowed down a little bit here in the past 2 weeks, but realistically, it doesn't mean that they can't put up points on the board and put up points in a hurry. The Mountaineers have a very strong run game behind Letty Brown, who's rushed for over 375 yards and 6 touchdowns on the season, but their strength is really in the passing game. They have 6 wide receivers with over 100 yards receiving, and each of them can make you pay as a deep threat down the field. They have a lot of speed, and like we said, when this team gets going, they can put up points in a hurry. In their past few games, though, they've struggled a little bit to get the ball moving, but in this one, it should be a little bit easier playing this Baylor Bears team. Baylor ranks 88th in run defense, and the more they try to line up and stop Letty Brown, the more they're going to have to pay, as West Virginia is not afraid to take a shot down the field with those receivers. On the other side of the ball, Baylor also boosts a very good offense, led by quarterback Jerry Bohannon, who has not thrown an interception all season long, and they rank 29th in college football in total offense. They have a very good rushing attack that's led by Abram Smith and Treston Ebner, who have combined for over 850 yards rushing this season. The Mountaineers' strength on defense is their front 7, so that's going to be an interesting matchup to watch in this game. It also may force Baylor's quarterback to throw the ball a bit more, which should not be a problem as this team is not lacking at wide receiver either. They have a very fast-paced offense that likes to do a lot of hurry up and try to catch defenses off guard. Now, Baylor's defense, they're ranked high overall, but that is because of the teams they've really played early on in the season. Against better teams like Iowa State and Oklahoma State, they have given up 24 points in each of those games, which West Virginia, we think, should be able to put up as well in this game. Baylor is averaging 37 points per game here. West Virginia is averaging 30 points per game. The game totals at 44.5. It's most likely that low because of the lack of production from both of these offenses in the last couple of weeks. But as we just went over, both these teams know how to score. We can see this one maybe being a shootout as both offenses get going, put up points on the board. So we're going to take as our first best bet of week number 6 in college football, West Virginia, Baylor, over 44.5. With our second pick of week number 6, we are going to target probably the biggest game of the weekend between number 4 Penn State and number 3 Iowa. This game is set to kick off at 4 p.m. Eastern on Saturday, and Iowa is favored by 1.5 points, and the over-under is at 41.5. Penn State's coming into this matchup off a 24-0 victory over Indiana. Now, their defense has been getting better all season long and is a big reason why they beat Wisconsin and Auburn earlier in the year. They have forced 9 turnovers this season. They rank 31st in run defense and 45th in pass defense. They're going to have a good test this week against a solid Iowa offense that put up 51 points last week. Now, Penn State has a very good offense as well, led by Sean Clifford. He's thrown for over 1,300 yards this season, and their passing game is primarily the focus point of attack for this season. Dotson has been unstoppable this season at wideout, racking up 446 receiving yards and 6 touchdowns. Now, Iowa's defense, they only give up 184 passing yards per game and force a lot of interceptions, so that's going to be a matchup to watch in this game. Now, the Hawkeyes, as we mentioned, they're coming off a huge win, 51-14 over Maryland, which gave their defense even more confidence than they already had coming into this game. They forced 7 turnovers in that game, giving them now a plus 12 turnover differential this season. Their defense is going to be a very good test for that Penn State offense, as their secondary does a great job of keeping receivers in front of them, and they set up QB spies that cause a lot of tip balls, which are turning into interceptions this season. Now, the offense of Iowa behind Petrus and a very strong offensive line has looked dominant so far. They have also opened up their run game for Godson, who has rushed for 430 yards this season. They really haven't put up big numbers offensively because, quite honestly, their field position has been so good all season. Their tight end, Laporta, actually leads the team in receiving yards. Penn State's defense, they're very good. And if Iowa has to start putting those long drives together and not turning the ball over, or if Penn State is not turning the ball over and making Iowa have a short field, it could be a long day for Iowa. But we don't really see it playing out that way. This is definitely going to be a good game. It could come down to the last possession, but Iowa is the stronger team here. Their offense, although they have not had much to do this season, can still score points and is very balanced, unlike Penn State. We know a lot of people who are going with Penn State plus the points here, but we're going to go contrarian. We're going to pick defense over offense. So our second pick of week number 6 is Iowa on the money line. Now, our third pick for week 6 is going to be between UTEP and Southern Mississippi. That matchup is at 7 p.m. Eastern. UTEP is favored by 2.5 points, and the over-under is set at 44.5. UTEP comes in this game with a 4-1 record, just edging out Old Dominion last week, 28-21. In fact, they were trailing Old Dominion entering the fourth quarter of that game. That's the second week in a row they've been trailing in the second half of a game to a far weaker opponent, as the previous week they were down at halftime in the third quarter to New Mexico. With that being said, UTEP has found out a way to pull out these victories, and their only loss has really come at the hands of Boise State. UTEP is led by their QB, Gavin Hardison, who's thrown for more than 1,100 yards and 8 touchdowns. However, he only has been completing 58% of his passes and has thrown 5 interceptions on the season. Jacob Cowing, Justin Garrett, and Tryon Smith, they've been the main 3 targets of him for the season. They have a combined 49 receptions and 950 receiving yards with 6 touchdowns. Now, they average about 230 yards through the air per game, but they do have a very balanced attack that includes Ronald Awat and Deion Hankins for a combined 450 yards on the season and 5 touchdowns as well. Although UTEP has a balanced attack, they may let Hardison air it out a little bit more than normal this week as they go up against Southern Miss defense, who ranks 19th against the run, only giving up 94 yards a game. And that number is a little skewed as it includes a game against number 1 Alabama in which they gave up over 200 yards rushing. So, speaking of Southern Miss, they are 1-4, and they're in the midst of a 3-game losing streak after a 37-0 win over Grambling State. They have dropped games to Troy and Rice and the aforementioned Alabama. Unfortunately, things have gotten worse for them as their starting QB, Ty Keys, was injured early last week against Rice. He's going to be out as well this game, which means Jake Lang will be getting his first career start. Now, Lang came in for Keys last week, played okay. He was 23 of 37 with over 300 yards passing and a touchdown, but where he struggled was keeping possession of the ball as he threw for 3 interceptions. Now, Lang is probably going to throw the ball about 40 times in this game as the Golden Eagles' rushing attack is 108th in the nation. To be honest, it's a little surprising with NFL ties in the backfield with the likes of Frank Gore Jr. Leading the rushing attack that they're that bad. He averages about 4.4 yards per carry on 81 carries. Dejon Richard is also the other back. He's only seen the ball 13 times, though, over 5 games. With UTEP only allowing 110 yards per game and having the 32 ranked run defense, and the likes of the offense is going to be probably on Lang's shoulders. Now, with Keys at the helm, this team averaged less than 150 yards per game. So, although Lang had accuracy issues, he did put up a lot of yardage last week through the air. Now, it was against the 94th ranked pass defense, but Lang looked like he could be an answer for this offense, one that hopefully gets a little bit higher than their 17 points per game so far this season. When we look at this game overall on paper, it looks like UTEP is an easy 2-point cover. However, this number kind of feels like a trap. UTEP has struggled with below-average teams this year, and ever since the first week of the season when they held New Mexico State to 3 points, they've since been allowing an average of 29 points per game, even giving up 28 points to Bethune-Cookman. Now, the Golden Eagles going up against a great QB in Gavin Hardison. We expect the Miners to put up at least probably 4 touchdowns in this game against a very weak passing defense. With both teams unable to probably get something going on the ground game, they're probably both going to look to throw it in the air all game. That's going to extend the game as well. That's why our final bet of week number 6 is going to be UTEP Southern Miss over 44.5. That's it for us here at Grandstand Bettors. Remember, join our college football leaderboard by putting your best 3 bets in the comments below. Remember to read the rules in the pinned comment. The rules do matter. As always, though, sit back, relax, enjoy college football week number 6, and we'll see you next week.